Welcome back to Wealth Wednesday. My name is Bryant Stone, Chief Investment Officer of Polimeni Tax and Financial Group. Today we're going to talk about what are the pillars to our financial planning process here at Polimeni Tax and Financial Group, okay? It's very important to us to make sure that we are bringing all our clients through a full holistic process to make sure every single gap, every single hole in their retirement plan is covered so we're not missing anything. Okay, and then the first step that we do like to take when we're looking at building out a financial plan and really making sure that we set you up for success is what is your retirement income, right? And we like to call that the foundation of your retirement plan, because if you have $3,000 or let's just say $4,000 going into retirement as your expenses, and we figure out that your retirement income is only $3,000, we have a problem there, right? We have a $1,000 gap. So then it's going to be like, how do we make sure that we insure that gap for you to make sure that you don't run out of income for the rest of your life? So things that can be considered retirement income, which are guaranteed sources of income. Maybe you may have a pension if you're a federal employee, if you're a state employee, if you work in the private sector and you happen to have an employer that offers you a pension. I know those are a dying breed nowadays. That's awesome. So that's one source of retirement income, right? Guaranteed for the rest of your life. Annuities. So if you set up a personal annuity on your own, maybe from some assets, that's going to give you a guaranteed source of income. Maybe you work for a company that offered you an annuity that's going to give you a guaranteed source of income. And then Social Security. Those are typically the three sources of retirement income that are going to be guaranteed for someone's life. So we like to identify those when we're sitting down with our clients, figure out what those numbers are. Are they going to have cost of living adjustments? Is it going to help keep pace with inflation? Things like that we like to figure out, because if we can't figure out that, we can't transition into any of the other steps of your financial planning process to make sure that you ensure that you have a great retirement. The second thing that we like to talk about are what are the resources that you already have? What are the investments that you already have, right? These can be things like IRAs, 401ks, TSPs, 457s, brokerage accounts. These are just a few to name. Money in the bank, things that you've accumulated through your lifetime that are going to help either supplement your retirement income if you're short, or maybe help you live an increased lifestyle in retirement, because maybe now that you have this free time, maybe you might want to travel, right? Maybe you might want to go visit the grandkids a little bit more. Do things that you weren't able to do while you're working. That's why you sacrificed and build up these assets. So identifying those and making sure that we ensure that those assets last you for the rest of your life, so that through the turbulent times in the market, you're not going to be burning through that money and run out of money before the end of your life, okay? The third thing that we like to talk about when we're looking at our clients and we're transitioning to the financial plan is, what do you have for life insurance, right? Upon you passing away, what's going to be left over to your loved ones? Are you going to ensure that any debts that you have, any liabilities that you have aren't going to be a burden upon your spouse, upon your kids? Do you have a work policy? Do you have a private policy? What's the amount that you need for life insurance? Some it may be more than others, right? It's not a cookie cutter type of thing. So we really like to dive deep on what policies you may have already. Are those policies going to carry out for the rest of your life? I can't tell you how many times I've sat down with clients and they've not known what type of policy they have. They don't know what the premium is. They don't know what it covers. So these are things that we like to take a deep dive in and look with our clients to make sure that whatever they have moving forward, it's going to be the best in their best interest. So the fourth step in our financial planning process and the pillars to our financial planning process is identifying if you do have long-term care, okay? And a lot of folks get kind of cloudy on this subject, not sure if they need it, not sure if they don't need it. And the way I like to identify long-term care is either you're going to pay for it with your own assets if that situation arises, or you'll have something in place to help hedge the cost of that in case you need someone to come in to help you with, 2 of the 6 activities of daily living, okay? So with that being said, we like to identify if you have a policy through work, what are the logistics on that process? Do your premiums stay the same? Does the premium increase? Is that going to be the best fit for you long term in that policy? Do you have a private policy? How does that work? What are the logistics behind your private policy? What's the amount that you need? So these are the things that we like to look at and dive deep on to see, because you may have a policy that may be outdated. The benefits may be outdated. There may be something on the market now that's a lot better for you, right? So these are things that we like to look at. And nowadays with long-term care, there's a lot of creative ways that these insurance companies are building in those benefits with other products. So it may be a way that you can incorporate it with another product where you don't have to pay any additional premium. So there's a lot of things and creative strategies out there that we like to plan with our clients to make sure, if that is a concern, to make sure that that concern is taken care of for them, okay? The fifth step in our financial planning process is looking at what is your health insurance going to be, okay? Are you going to be on Medicare? Do you have a work policy that's going to carry you out through retirement? Do you have to pick up Medicare in addition to your work policy? These are things that we like to look at because the fastest growing expense in the nation is health insurance. It is outpacing inflation, and these are things that we want to make sure that you have that taken care of. If it's you have to get a private policy, work policy, really identifying what that is, and then also how Medicare is going to tie into your health insurance. Okay. The sixth step in our financial planning process is estate planning. Estate planning, it's one of those things that I like to joke with my clients about, and I like to say it's not something that you love to talk about, right? It's not the shiny investment. It's not the new asset. It's not the real estate. It's one of those boring things that we have to talk about, but it's one of those things that once you get it done, you'll feel 10 times better about yourself. And really the purpose for estate planning is making sure that you do not leave a mess behind to your loved ones upon your demise, all right? So in identifying, your estate plan, things that we like to look at is, do you have a will? Do you have a trust? Is a will right for you? Is a trust right for you? Are your assets going to avoid probate, right? Do you have a financial power attorney? Do you have a healthcare power attorney in case you become incapacitated? Who's going to make those decisions for you if you can't? So these are things that we like to look at when we talk about developing a financial plan, making sure that we're incorporating estate planning into your financial plan, because that's very important. Because if you don't, do you want, your assets going to the court? Do you want your loved ones not being able to have your assets? So these are things that we like to think about and talk through with you so we make sure you complete your financial plan, okay? The last in the several steps in our financial planning process is tax planning. Tax planning, there's no step in this process that's more important than the other, but this is right up there with all the other steps that we just mentioned. And things that we like to talk about and ask you and have you really think about is, what's the strategy that you have to mitigate your future taxes, right? Right now, tax rates are at historic lows. With all the spending that we've done, with all the stimulus programs, getting through the pandemic, all the debt that we've added as a nation, where do you think taxes are going to go? They're only going to go up, right? So it's like, how do you mitigate future taxes? What's your strategy behind figuring out your RMDs, required minimum distributions? Essentially, like a lot of folks like to joke and say, forced taxation, right? So what's your strategy behind making sure that all your tax-deferred assets don't bump you up to the next tax bracket, right? Because once you get 72, you'll be required to take out a certain amount of money. So what's your strategy behind satisfying your RMDs and also making sure your RMDs don't drain out your account so you run out of money before you retire? So these are the 7 steps in our firm's financial planning process. We feel it's very important that when you are getting a financial plan, that you just don't focus on one of these or focus on 2 of these. Make sure you focus on all 7 of these. And if you're working with someone that doesn't focus on all of these, you have to really ask yourself, what are you doing working with them, right? So these are things we want you to think about. Always consult your financial advisor. We appreciate you guys coming on, and we'll see you again. Thank you.